moment.
And we saw the Cassio be the priority for H2K. We know she's such a strong pick. She can have so much impact. But we've also seen Orianna just be so good into her and be potentially even more crucial in those team fights. Doesn't matter what direction you're facing when you get hit by that shockwave. Unlike the petrifying gaze. But now we enter picks and bans. Elise taken off the board. No early game junglers for Jankos, Rakan, Tristana, Kalista going to be banned away. Galio to follow.
All right, G2 banning Rakan. Don't want to get forced into first picking Xayah and then having no other options because Jarvan is still available. And when Kalista and Tristana are gone, Jarvan just goes higher and higher up in priority because he's so good at starting fights and shutting down carries with his ulti. H2K need to decide if they want to ban it. They do not. So Jarvan is left open for G2.
Most standard first pick we'd see, according to international meta. Expect us playing with our hearts. I think it's definitely going to be a Jarvan.
Would be very likely, at least.
There you go.
They do go for it. H2K can now take the Cho'Gath on their side. They can actually do what G2 did and go Cho'Gath Sejuani if they want to run the same kind of massive frontline wall and then have Jankos as the main engage. We saw Trick in the last game nail a lot of great ultis in the late game. Almost hit the one in the early game as well. They could have given a kill over to Perkz. Cho'Gath should be the choice here for H2K. Gragas is also available. And I personally think Gragas is above Sejuani. I just really love how Gragas can offer early gang pressure that is effective and also great engage tools in the late game.
Disengage as well, and I think the value
well
of Explosive Cask along with the Body Slam Flash is so strong and puts him up there with Jarvan in terms of if you're looking for engage on a team, this is one of the best ways to do it.
It's always Prolly and the caster team thinking the same. This time it's Cassiopeia, so Orianna coming in from Febiven, surely, and then you actually reverse. H2K are now the team who can try and threaten the Cassiopeia with the tanks and the Shockwave.
A little bit of a mix-up here.
He should just go Orianna.
Cassio wasn't the greatest pick for Perkz, however. He was very vulnerable to that early pressure against Splice. Now we've seen coming into today, Perkz is looking much stronger, but still some of those questions remain. Hasn't always done the best in this matchup.
Now last game, there was a lot of talk about Febiven not picking Cleanse, and that did end up hurting him through some of the engages from Trick. But now in this game, Perkz is sitting with the Sejuani on his side, so he doesn't have to fear that long-range engage from the jungler. Of course, there's still a Body Slam Flash that could happen, but that is something Jankos can look to do.
Looks like Febiven learned his lesson.
Oh, he's
desk.
He's like, oh, maybe I should go Cleanse against Sejuani.
Not going to help against the Jarvan, sadly, so has to make sure he can time that well. And of course, by picking the Sejuani, short of any kind of Sejuani support shenanigans, it has confirmed the jungle and top role. So no more flex picks coming in for G2.
And I know there's a Jarvan that can ruin the life of a Sivir, but I wouldn't mind Nuclear saying that Sivir Cho'Gath combo was pretty good last time.
Cho'Gath Orianna. I saw you went really fast. I like that.
Exactly, and he can do the same here for Odoamne, but the problem is that Jarvan can ruin her day in the late game. G2, though, don't have a carry that will actually kill the backline just yet. H2K saying, though, they don't actually want to play Sivir. They don't want G2 to play Sivir either, so just remove it. Xayah is still available. While her ulti will not get her fully out of a Jarvan Cataclysm, it will still mean that she stays alive during the actual engage, if that is what H2K wants to play. Or you go over to the more North American style, and you can play more hyper carries as well down in the bottom lane. You have a lot of protection, like Twitch, Hawkmoor.
Every character you're listing, though, right now, Deficio, you know what I see? They have one thing in common. Nobody's getting out of the Thunderdome.
Then you gotta go Caitlyn. Then you have to go Caitlyn with the net, and that's it. No, instead, it is gonna be strong laning phase and ulti for even more engage here for H2K to pair that with the Cho'Gath Gragas. Actually, very much like what Fnatic ran yesterday, and they couldn't execute this Cho'Gath Ashe Gragas comp in team fights.
Do have the damage, though. Even if Ashe goes down, it potentially win out on a fight courtesy of that Cho'Gath. Sven scrolling through his hyper carry options.
I was about to say, Varus here would be really good. Can match the laning of Ashe, and you can coordinate ganks on the bottom side after level 6 so easily with your top laner and your jungler, because you have so much CC on the side of G2 against an Ashe who can never escape.
Triple melee champions. Braum, Sejuani, Jarvan. That is a lot of sustained CC in a team fight. I would not want to be an Ashe or an Orianna going up against this composition.
Janna, Lulu are two picks that we have seen used against melee champions like Braum. But in this case here, you're gonna get camped too hard, and I think Tahm Kench or maybe like a Black Shield is the way to go. Tamkenshi makes a ton of sense just for protection. While again you want to counter Braum with a Janus, you can't. Again, so much CC and so many ways to kill that bottom lane from G2.
It does not matter. The Jaina is not enough, the Monsoon, the Tornado, not enough. But of course, the Devour from Tahm Kench will be able to save one carry for the side of H2K.
I mean, if Che is on form with his Devours, yes, he can keep Nuclear or Fibiven alive and make the day annoying for the Jarvan.
Deficio, last game we had that clear split pusher in the Trundle. This game, I don't feel like there's anyone who clearly wants to be set up in the side lane. So talk to me about win cons.
Fight. 5 versus 5 around the Baron will definitely happen quite a lot this game. We might get the same kind of early game as before, where we're not necessarily expecting a ton of early fights, because a lot of the champions wants to scale a little bit and then they want to wait for level 6 specifically, especially G2's bottom lane. Braum ulti, Varus ulti against an Ashe is something you can play around. I also want to see though Jankos on a Gragas where you can gank in the early game. Is he looking to go top lane and snowball Cho'Gath? It is always an option.
Getting ready for game 2. Biggest difference feels like Jankos on a champion that can make plays. Not reliant on somebody else. We'll see if that is the key to success for H2K. They're already down 1 game. Can't afford to go to match point. G2 looking as dominant as ever as we get into game 2. We'll find out if that stays the case.
And some pressure on Fibiven now. Perks in the last game, as we said, landed so many crucial shockwaves on the carries of H2K. Fibiven looking to do exactly the same. There's a Varus, there's a Cassiopeia. They can't jump out of a shockwave. If Flash is not there, they will get hit by it. But Fibiven needs to get in the right position with the ball. There's no Alistar for him to make it even easier, but there is a Gragas. So a lot of pressure on Jankos in this game to be a strong engaged tool, and then also try and set Fibiven up for success. And hey!
But you forgot the most important part! Yeah! Odoamne, 200th game!
Happy 200th game, Odoamne. Been around for actually such a long time. It's easy to forget that Odoamne's been here since early 2015 when he qualified with H2K.
And now he gets to play his 200th game on Cho'Gath. What a memorable occasion. Maybe this is the game where he gets to gargoyle Stone Plate, one shot and 80 carry.
Hey, why not? He deserves it. I think Odoamne, ever since he joined the LCS, have always been either clear-cut top 3 or at least just around the top 3 of top laners in Europe. Of course, his first split had to get used to the big stage, but ever since been such a reliable player. And also one of those very nice top laners who are fine taking one for the team. It's not just pure split pusher for Odoamne. He's actually okay playing the tanks as well.
Always been willing, well, not always, but in recent years has been willing to sacrifice himself. Bot lane in a similar boat though, the Ashe Tahm Kench. Maybe going to suffer. Ashe, of course, with a lot of wave pressure. Varus in a similar situation. Old school meta coming back here in the bottom lane with all the top tier carries banned out. Mid lane, it could just be a farm matchup. But of course, it's Perks and Fibiven, so they're going to try their hardest to kill each other.
We know Perks can pressure him in the early game. And there's a cleanse for Fibiven, which is mainly useful after level 6 when there's Sejuani ulti or Cassiopeia ulti potentially stunning you. Top lane though, Odoamne on this Cho'Gath here. Again, very flexible player, as we mentioned just before. We had the Trundle last time, focus on split push. We've seen him in the past play Jace and be successful in these kind of champions. But in this game, it is on the big tank, it's on the Cho'Gath. And one thing, again, we will see from H2K is the same kind of Baron rushes as the last game, because you have the Feast combined with the Smite. But we gotta get to 20 minutes first. H2K, for now, are looking to just have a bit of a safe laning phase with the Orianna Cho'Gath.
And Odo using the lane advantage that he got, applying the early pressure with the Vorpal Spikes to get vision down. Now they know exactly where Trick is. G2, though, do not have the same information on Jankos. Safe bet for Expect is that Jankos is top side, but he does not know he's been clearing Raptors into the bottom side jungle and now back up to the red buff.
And you mentioned before we had the old school AD carries back against each other, the Varus versus the Ashe. We used to see this all the time just a few metas ago. While it is very even between just the two AD carries, the problem is we keep highlighting there's a Jarvan on one side, just to make it almost impossible for Nuclear to be safe in team fights, and that is what the team's actually drafting for. That's why they're first picking Jarvan and banning mobile AD carries to set Jarvan up to succeed. Now, we get 2 junglers top lane.
Sidestep, looking for the stacks though to stun up Odoamne. Jankos, the flash body slam forward. Odoamne not going to find the knockup. That's going to be first blood for H2K. Flash forward, going to take it down. First blood for G2, rather. Jankos in trouble.
Oh, no.
Going in. Barrel.
Woo. Yeah, you can't do that. Don't ever do that again. Nice first gank, though, from Trick. Odoamne's knockup did not connect and expected. Already applied a lot of melee hits with that Sejuani around to then get a quick stun onto Odoamne. Jankos is trying again, though. Oh, guess right.
He's got a few seconds. He's got a few seconds.
Oh.
If he just had another flash body slam. He just got 2 flashes. He could have done it. All right. Pretty disastrous coming out there for H2K.
Luckily, though, for Odoamne, he's not getting denied too many CS from this. He's still up a few. So this is the passive being applied early to get the full stacks on the Cho'Gath to land the stun very easily from Trick. Always good when you have the melee combination between Sejuani and a top laner. And Jankos, of course, has to just back away. And that's confidence right there from Expect, thinking he can actually kill Jankos.
A little bit lucky, too. Miss on the body slam.
If he had hit the whole thing, he probably would have killed him, but potentially died for it as well.
Now we can see Mythiops to back, which gives H2K the bot side pressure. And it's crazy to see how much of an impact Trick has had on these last few early games. Most notably, it feels like on the top side of the map, because Odoamne, yes, he's picked the Trundle and the Cho'Gath. He should be fine there. And now he's picked the Cho'Gath and the Jarvan. He probably should be fine there too, but Trick just making sure that he does not get that comfort of the 1v1. Yeah,
it's been a very tough year for Trick with a lot of criticism, especially in the regular season and also at MSI during the regular group stage. Because there were many bad performances, very inconsistent, gambling a lot and then dying for it. But when it really matters, especially in playoffs, he tends to show up for G2. Febby needs to flash away. Perkz winning that trade, and Jankos is being followed by Mythian Trick.
1 stack, 2 stack, 3 stack, 4. That's going to be the stun. He's gone. No, Shay. Gonna grab the disengage. Lucky for them, their bot laner does not believe in sitting with the AD carry.
Both supports around the mid lane, both junglers as well. We see another game here where Trick is finding good early advantages. He executes the gank top lane. He follows Jankos to mid lane. This is what, again, what I said just before here. In playoffs, Trick really tends to show up, and he's doing it in this game. The meta really fits him with all these tanks, and Sejuani clearly a comfort pick for him, and he's getting it now in the second game.
That's something we talked about when the tank meta first came around. Sejuani the pick for Trick that just made G2 come back into the limelight.
And he played really well for a few weeks right there.
Yeah, we look back post-Rift Rivals, the rise again of G2 after such a rough start to the season. Another difficult best-of-5 versus Splyce, but now here against H2K, they're looking just as strong as ever. Odoamne gonna have to run for his life. G2 trying to capitalize on the level 6 advantages.
The timing here is important. The big wave being pushed, that's what actually pushes Perkz to go top lane. Because Expect is calling, I have a massive minion wave. If you move up here, we can deny some of it. And that's why Perkz is going up there. It's not really to kill Odoamne, they know he's going to back away, but you just deny CS. That's the key thing. So good use of minion waves here from G2. And Perkz didn't really lose a whole lot mid, just a few minions, and that's about it.
Pressure advantage in favor of Expect as well. Going to get a lot of those early damage items out. The Tiamat, he wants to make sure he can keep that Cho'Gath under his tower. Make it a lot more difficult for him to teleport in, have impact in these early fights. Bottom lane, we're quickly approaching that level 6 point. You talked about this already, Deficio. The setup is so easy on the side of G2, and they have one get out of jail free card. That's the Tom Kench on the side of H2K, but
which is why if G2 ganks the lane, they can actually go for Che and focus him. There's no way for him to escape other than flash, and then if that happens, maybe you return gank it right after. When you have so much CC from your dual lane, you can look to be proactive around that lane, but there's also a chance of just playing around the Jarvan. We know his abilities, we know how much damage they can deal in the early game, especially after level 5 when he gets more ranks in his Q. Does a lot of poke damage actually into then a really good all-in with his ulti.
Such an intensely strong champion in the early game, transitions nicely into the late game. Reminds me a lot of Lee Sin in that case, where you just have this always reliable utility as you move later with a very strong early game.
So we have to shift it over then to H2K and talk about like what can they do. They draft a very defensive comp, so they don't really have a winning lane to play around. It's what G2 had in the last game. So for H2K, The trick is try and find the enemy jungler, invest in early vision, and then see if you can actually cross map. If you see G2 investing heavily on one side, you go to the other side and make a play. Right now, they know Trick is on top side, they are calling it, so they're making the cross map play to the bottom side. This is again to avoid fights, but trying to just get something. You can't just sit back and do nothing. You have to always get a few things for yourself, even if you're running a very defensive scaling comp. Of course, the Trick just abandons the top side very quickly. H2K needs to stop the Drake, but it's a good attempt.
Trick already got the red buff as well, so this is pure advantage over to G2. Good that H2K are trying to make these moves, but G2 still coming out on top when it comes to these small advantages. And Deficio, as we check in on the gold, is only a single kill. But a 1K gold lead 9 minutes in is quite substantial. You see the CS for Jarvan definitely starting to take off.
H2K also not getting that Drake. Man, they spend a bit of time on that. There was a ward placed by Mithy. Now we have Trick around the mid lane.
Ooh, Cleanse does come out. Perkz now in trouble.
He's no flash though. Fabian has no flash. He couldn't actually go for any more plays. Around mid lane now, we have the Sejuani. We have Expect coming as well on the Jarvan. Still no flash from Fabian. If he gets hit by an ulti, he will die.
A lot of damage for Perkz. Not a whole ton of mana left. Looks like it will just be the assisted push coming in. But Expect is here as well. He's taking jungle away from Jankos. All of G2 making his life difficult.
It's a very good play though from Jankos to move in around this mid lane. Again, he's playing defensive. He's not looking to gank right there. He's looking to protect his mid laner and make sure Fabian stays alive until Flash is ready. And then H2K get a bit more time to scale towards the late game.
Now looking down at the bottom side, level 6 is out, but the attention just has not been there. Instead, it's been about the junglers and the mid laners. And a little bit of action on the top side. Looks like the Tom Kench is enough to discourage G2 from going for any over-aggressive plays.
We are at the point of the game here where you could go top lane for Trick and actually try and get that tower down. The Cho'Gath is not a massive threat at the moment. You have enough CC and damage with Sejuani and Jarvan to kill him, but it requires you to have vision of Jankos. Can't have any counter ganks happening. It could also, in terms of lane swapping, when you have a Tahm Kench, you can do a very fast lane swap where you use his ulti into the lane. If H2K wants to recall on the bottom side after they push out the wave and try and speed up the game. But gotta remember, a fast game is not in favor of H2K in this one. They want the slow game.
Definitely is the case, and potentially shutting down Expect. Not always the #1 person you look to on the side of G2 when it comes to ruining someone's day, but after last game, after that Cho'Gath performance, H2K painfully aware of how good Expect can do if he's given the chance.
Expect in team fights is always very fun to watch. I really think that is his main strength, especially on some of these different tanks, but also on things like Gnar and Renekton. He's actually shining in the big fights. And last game here, he was set up to succeed. He had great carries, getting targets low, where he could get buffed up by a Sivir to go in and feast and kill them. And
it was kind of the Expect show. It's very true.
Really did his job. Really did his job. And we're still sitting in that situation where Sven and Mithy are not looking to force anything on the bottom side. Mid laners are trying to trade against each other. Both have flashes available. Perkz actually not level 10 yet. He's been roaming quite a lot away from the lane to go top and try and make that play we keep talking about around Expect. Now he's going for the actual gank.
Cataclysm's up and available. Single minion there, though. Not a big enough wave to force a dive. Not a big enough wave to get into position.
That is a missed timing by Perkz to go top lane without a big enough wave here to actually try and set up a gank onto Oramne. And he will have to go back to mid lane where he's losing more minions now.
Not what he wanted whatsoever. Fabian now in trouble. Jankos is here as well, but a lot of damage comes in from the Sejuani. Stun on cooldown, cannot connect again. Ball coming out. Perkz trying to find the miasma. Ult is going to slow down Fabian. He needs to make his way out of there. Is forced to burn the flash. Still a good play in the favor of G2 in the end.
Expect this around. Might try and kill Fabian.
Flag, drag, Thunderdome, not gonna do it. But Jankos is gonna have to back off. No, he can't sit comfortably under the tower. No ult available either. That means G2 just get to free hit this one. Jankos will flash out before the miasma lands. Slow, steady siege coming in from G2. May not have enough of a creep wave, but 50% of the tower's health and the flash from Fabian without giving up much of anything.
Fabian not happy with that one, but we had Sejuani from the bottom side and then Perkz from the top side, forcing him to flash away. I didn't actually get to see where Jankos used his ulti. It was used in the last fight, but he didn't manage to get any summoners from it, because otherwise you would have course, want to knock Perks away and just make sure Febin didn't have to flash.
No, knock him under the tower. Fully commit, Fischio. Aggressive
That's
plays.
later. Probably told this team, guys, I don't want to see you get a single kill before 20 minutes. We're farming. We're scaling. That's the goal. Don't chase anything.
Yep, that's great, but G2's farming better right now.
Sure, I mean, but if the goal remains like this, it's okay for H2K. Like, we have to remember the Orianna against things like Varus as well can be super effective, and there will be a big team fight. They will decide everything. Let's see the Pip. Oh, he did actually knock Perks away, so Jankos did do what he could right here. Tried his best to keep him alive. Didn't actually get to see the first ulti, so can't blame Jankos for that one.
Che debating whether or not to step closer to the blast cone, knowing that he could get knocked back. Dragon now the center of attention for G2. They're trying to build an arena. They're calling out to H2K to come for the fight, but H2K, they're not going to take the bait.
This is the best Drake for G2 to get here. Infernal Drake. When you're against such a scaling passive team, if you can punish them by getting actually useful dragons for the late game, that is the absolute best. So Infernal, great, and unlucky for H2K that is the first Drake, but that is what can happen when you don't have any winning lanes that you can really play around.
Yeah, we could argue G2 were the unlucky ones when it was double mountain that dropped for H2K in the previous game.
Very true. Bot lane, we might get one of those fights.
Moving forward, Nuclear going to take a lot of damage. It's going to get knocked up. Che going to use the ultimate, but will be locked up for the duration. TP now coming in. Sven needs to make it out. That's going to be Mithy looking to be the sacrificial lamb. Che can just keep the stun going. Looks like the TP was canceled in the end. Che going to back off. No thick skin. Flash up as well. Nuclear's going to drop. Double kill for the bottom lane. That is the best bot lane in the West. Finally coming into their own. They see an opportunity. They take it now. Perks is moving in. Jankos running for his life. Shockwave trying to save the jungler. One more auto. The stun. One more. Trick going to take him down. Fevin might not even be safe under this tower. Poison ticking.
Oh, he's alive.
Oh. Divigio, absolutely everything that could have gone wrong for H2K went wrong right there.
TP got interrupted top lane. Bot lane Che did not manage to flash away in time from the E here from the Varus, and he ends up dying. Nuclear goes down as well. Bot lane tower takes a ton of damage, and Jankos dies in the mid lane. H2K tried to play so slow early on and just wait for their lanes to farm and scale. But because they can't play proactive anywhere with this draft, G2 eventually just found an opening. It all started with a 2v2 fight that technically shouldn't have resulted in a kill, because here Che, after he devours, spits the Ashe away. And now you can just back if you're H2K, but they're of course expecting the TP to complete, and then the Jarvan interrupts it.
Taking his time, min-maxing on that trade. Expect is cheeky. It's even worse for the H2K bottom lane, because for about 2 or 3 seconds there, they're probably convinced that TP is coming through.
And we also have to say, like, as a Cho'Gath, you can't just start using your TP in the middle of the lane right in front of a Jarvan. Like, it should never complete. And as you said, it actually baited his bot lane. Let's see mid.
Fevin now in trouble, though. That's going to be the kill down unexpected. He's looking to fire back, but Perks has more than enough damage to close out the kills. The rest of the team is here as well. Trick on the hunt. Odoamne getting chipped down slowly but surely. No MR yet. But G2 just keep taking advantages to Fischio. They are not giving H2K the chance, but Perks locked up, knocked back into the team. Silence, no hope for escape. Goodbye, says Odoamne.
They gave H2K a chance right there, and Nuclear, he took it. He's like, that's a no-flash Cassiopeia right in front of me. Okay, Perks. H2K picks up a very important kill here. They're still very far down in gold, but you have to take what you can get. And these towers here in the bot lane and mid lane, they're very low. They're trying to just delay H2K, or delay G2, sorry, but Sven is gonna get a bit of damage on the tower now, and it's a lot of extra gold very soon going over to G2, and H2K will be even further behind.
Jankos moving down, Sejuani is here as well. They're looking for the all-in. Nuclear gonna get locked up. Che holding onto the Devourer, has to wait as long as possible. Now gonna look to save, but Expect is here. That's the TP that he saved from earlier. The flash, the flag, the drag, no ultimate, but he doesn't need it. Sven dishing out the damage, and G2 are ripping apart H2K. But the Shockwave, not enough.
It's turning into a little bit of a stomp here for G2 eSports. They are able to get more kills in the bottom lane. Odoamne will get a top lane tower for himself, but it's not going to be the first one, because Sven already killed the one in the bottom lane. Perks, he wants to fight him.
Silence is going to be crucial here. Not going to sidestep. the rupture, so Odoamne will make it out safely.
Expect is on his way up. But right now, we don't actually have Perks moving down. Expect is fairly low. He needs to be careful.
Silence, rupture. Will knock him up. Febiven's on the way. They're looking to deliver. Flag and drag. Not going to commit any other resources. Officio, if you're an H2K fan right now, I think you're feeling a little scared. Because this is not the first time we've been in playoffs and H2K have had their backs against the wall. This is a team that has struggled when under pressure. Emotional players not able to handle the high-stakes situation. The performances start to suffer. G2, of course, playing incredibly well, but H2K going to need to show us more if they want to win this series, because right now, the first game very even, the second game not the case.
G2 is the team in Europe who wants to play the slower early games. They want to always go for the place where there is a very nice, a high reward, and it's a fairly low-risk play. So when it is the kind of meta and the kind of style where not a lot of plays are being forced upon them, Jankos is not running crazy on an Elise, there's not big TP plays happening, then it's exactly what G2 wants, because they are very good at predicting the next play. They understand the macro parts of the game. And with H2K, as we keep highlighting, not having any lanes they can really play around, except for maybe mid lane, could have been the one with Orianna and Gragas, well then it's hard to actually force G2 to react to anything. And that's why we've had this really slow early game where it's been just waiting for G2 to make a play. They've been making them. Now bot lane, they're trying something.
They're looking to get aggressive. Eyes on the rest of G2 though. H2K definitely going to be able to grab the kill on to expect here. But Jankos very low, multiple members committed. Eyes on G2, folks. This kill does not matter. Baron being taken down. Odoamne, you want a moment, you want a chance to prove you're a clutch player, then this is it. 4K and dropping.
Remember, there's no ulti from Che. Odoamne's going in.
They're backing off, peeling off the Baron. They're not going to let it get low enough. Febiven trying to fire back. Odoamne's going to take out Mythy. Can they deny the Baron? Meanwhile, the Rift Herald is wreaking havoc on the top side of the map. G2 are forced back, and H2K, they hold on to hope.
So they get 2 kills right here, H2K, and they stop that Baron. Very important. Yes, they lost the top lane tower, but now they can get some damage on the mid lane. Perks is on his way, though, to try and defend. There is no arrow from Nuclear, and Flash is up for Cassiopeia, so Perks is trying his best.
G2 may have overstepped in the Baron pit. Trick
could
look to turn it. Alt is going to connect on the Febiven. The instant cleanse, the Devour to take him to safety. Nuclear taking so much damage from the tower. Perks not gonna find it with the Twin Fangs.
I love the call so here, like H2K going for that bot lane kill to try and get the tower down, but Expect took out the entire minion wave and bought so much time that G2, after taking top lane tower, could rush for Baron. Odoamne, though, with Febiven, stopped G2, and it is still a massive gold advantage for G2 eSports, but H2K, they're just trying to hold on.
Holding on to anything, but now they've given up the tempo. They've used the last bit of pressure that they had in the mid lane. It did not work. The tower did not fall, so G2 are in control of the map for now, but luckily the staggered recalls mean that G2 could not free hit. Mythy now going to be locked up. Is he going to get knocked back? They're waiting. Chain CC comes forward, but everything's been used on the Braum. Now the Devour comes out. Mythy picked off. That's a start for H2K. That's exactly what they need to come back in this game.
Forcing G2 now to reset on the map. Well, it's 4v5. Odoamne will clear out the bot lane. Drake is alive. It is an Ocean Drake, so not the most valuable for the two teams at the moment. Mid lane tower is still very low, and G2, they're continuing to push. Without Mythy, he's there for another 14 seconds. Che is moving in with ulti.
Shockwave to try and clear. Febiven in trouble. There's no cleanse there, but knocked back under the tower. It's Perks. Exhausted as well. Trick looking for the disengage. Expect is right around the corner, but so is Odoamne. Perks taken out. Advantage to H2K. Can they keep the play going? G2 just looking to walk away, and it looks like they're going to get out with their lives.
Some very good kills here for H2K. They are actually holding on because G2, they're greeting for that mid lane tower. They want to kill it so badly. Even in a 4v5, they move forward. Perks used Flash and still died. Following teamfight, a Gragas and an Orianna Shockwave should take out the Cassiopeia. So H2K, they're actually calling for Baron because Feast is ready from Odoamne. They didn't call for recalls, but same thing. They're going to fight instead.
Che pulling back, no ulti available for Sven, but keep your eyes on Trick. Where's the ulti going to go? Going to land right on the more vulnerable member. Che looking to take him to safety.
There's no Perks, there's no Perks.
Now pulling back, it's a slow, steady fight. They're waiting to use the cooldowns. Expect looking for his opportunity to get on the Febiven. They're trying to lock up Odoamne. They're looking for the stun. Trick now moving in as well. That tank is in trouble. Febiven gonna save his teammate. Pulling out. Che is saving everybody, but H2K may have taken too long. G2 now free access to that Baron. Instead, they'll set their sights on the mid lane.
Mid lane first for G2 so they can push it further. Drake is also here. They take whatever objective they can get after that fight. That was again without perks here. Both teams are really pushing it to the limit in these team fights. H2K had to just try and run away because they were lacking summoners and cooldowns and mana. They all get to reset now. It is a Drake, after all, going over to G2. But a few more kills for H2K and 5K down after getting some gold back. See it again, like, remember guys, this is with Mythy dead. Che comes back with ulti and Febby tries to deny the way from getting to the towers. It actually goes over to Sven and great engage from Jankos on the Gragas, meaning that Perkz is stuck on the tower, and while he does flash away, there's no way out at this point. No Braum in front of him to try and protect. Following team fight where H2K now wants the tower.
H2K just doing such a good job of finding those openings, those opportunities. It's the second time that they've punished Perkz for overextending, catching him out.
I'm very surprised Febren did not cancel his recall after he saw them actually move forward, but he ends up getting hit by Trick. Che has to save him, and Febren probably calling he can't really fight without his shockwave being this low on HP, and that's why G2 feel confident they can still move forward. They're trying to deny a few summoners, maybe get one kill to a potential Baron. Both teams have a very fast Baron here. Cassiopeia on one side, Cho'Gath on the other one. One slip up and the Baron is gone.
All it takes is a single kill onto the jungler before either team could feel confident enough to force a fight. Deficio, we talked about it, 5K gold lead now in the favor of G2. H2K, though, who actually has the scaling advantage here? How big is this 5K gold lead, really?
I don't think the scaling advantage is big enough for H2K to necessarily call it like a guaranteed win for them or say they have a massive advantage in the late game. I think the scaling on G2 is perfectly fine. The reason we talked a lot about H2K being slow in the early game and waiting to scale was because their composition had no other options. They could have gone for a lane swap with the Ashe and Tahm Kench, but that would have sped up the game, maybe a little bit too much for what they wanted to do. So while they have a good late game, G2 also sits with a very strong late game team fight. And that's why it comes down now to execution and skill from teams. And at this point, H2K can force plays. Their composition has survived for 25 minutes.
H2K, we've talked about it, their team fighting has improved. But G2 have been all about team fighting for just about this entire season. Can they really go toe-to-toe if we go late enough in the game? Can they outfight Kings of Europe? It's going to be a tough ask.
Well, if Febiven and Oramner are able to actually kill either Perkz or Sven, they can definitely win the fights here. Jankos constantly looking for the engage. He's landed a few good ones already. Needs more of them. Oramner with the feast, trying to one-shot a Squishy. And the big shockwave that we saw from Perkz last game. We need to see that from Febiven in this game here for H2K to win the big late game fight. It's going to be very even between the teams, but it's still G2 with the advantage. They have an item advantage. Sven already 3 fully completed items. Nuclear only sitting on 2. That is part of that 5K gold lead, but Nuclear should have at least some gold, roughly 1,000 on their belt, and they're fighting!
Trick trying to find an opening, expecting to open up with the ultimate of his own. TP comes in from Odoamne. G2 getting some major cooldowns, but Trick may have strayed too far. Miasma makes sure that nobody's going to make it out. An arrow goes wide. No follow-up in the end. Odoamne holding on, but that tower's got a sliver of life, and G2 definitely walking out with a health advantage.
And these two comps here, they're the true ARAM comps. Fight around the single lane. Mid lane is where they're both looking, because once you get a fight in the mid lane and you win it, you can go straight to Baron right after. Both teams fighting for that priority, and it's going to be big team fights.
Moving forward. Looking for the disengage. Tahm Kench coming in. Perkz over the wall, though, with the Miasma. Going to make sure that there's no follow-up. Mythy may have been caught one more time, but the flash will get him out. Still just a trade of cooldowns.
But right now in the bottom lane, you have expected pushing. Odoamne, no teleport. Normally here, you need to force the Baron with the Cho'Gath to force the Jarvan to react. But G2 just managed to get a fine trade before here, and H2K not in a position to rush down Baron, so they could not stop Expect from pushing, and that's a tower lost.
You can see, amazing. Not a fan of the lack of proactive drafts coming in from Odoamne and the rest of H2K. Perkz going to get pulled back. Will they find yet another pick? It does not look like it. Odoamne not going to make it out. The poison ticks him down. Dies right inside the belly. Che wasn't looking for a snack, but he got one. And slowly but surely, G2 are systematically picking apart H2K. Yes, a few picks have gone in their favor, but it is not enough to give them the advantage.
G2 are using that gold advantage they got in the early game when they could actually make proactive plays. They're starting the Baron now. There's no feast from H2K, no teleport from Odoamne. This is currently a 3v5 because Febby is on his way. There's an engage.
G2 now looking for the fight. They're happy to not take the Baron, looking for a little bit more. Nuclear trapped and all alone, flashing out to safety. Orianna isolated. Perkz looking for a little bit more. Does Febiven have the damage to turn this back? Yet another arrow goes wide, and Trick, unable to miss one now, does find the kill in the end for his team. Double drops, G2. What an immaculate performance as we move further into this game.
I mean, it all started in the early game where they picked up the kills. They got the first few towers. They're now going for that Baron. Odoamne is not going to try and go and steal it. Despite Flash Fuse being available, he will not make it in time. Expect will also just deny him entrance to the Baron pit. Another really good call from G2 around the mid lane. They're team fighting well. And they're securing the Baron because of it. Sven, 5 kills on this Varus at the moment. Let's see. Play around the mid lane. It is 5v5 at this point here, but the carries are still strong on the side of G2. And after they kill the turret, well, Perkz does take a lot of damage. Everything was just used by H2K to try and kill Perkz.
And look at that ultimate. Look at that ultimate. Look at that flash coming in. That could have been the flash fuse from Odoamne to kill Perkz, but the perfect interrupt from Trick.
And then the Baron play after. In the 3v5 situation at first. No shockwave for Febiven. G2 feeling confident they can just dive onto them. And the tank's in the front, the carry's in the back. Great ulti from Trick. We just gotta highlight that, like, it's another really good Sejuani performance from this jungler here.
But you can see in the last fight, the ult may have set them up for success, but it was Sven who brought it home. So much attention given to Perkz, and Sven just allowed to free hit anyone and everyone who stood in his way. G2, honestly, just coming back to form. 10K gold lead, finding advantages in the early game. Last week against Splice, their early games were terrible. They struggled, they fell behind, but this week they have improved it, and they're looking to keep this one going, but H2K not going to have it that easy. Perkz looking to stun at multiple members. Shane now in trouble, the thick skin burning down quickly. Odoamne in the middle of everything. Ulti is going to connect. He needs to make it out, but the Cho'Gath is just getting burned down. Maybe he can get something back, but no, the fight continues. Expect, has he overstayed? Not going to get hit by the shockwave. Moving forward onto Nuclear. There's nothing that Jankos can do. G2, they're picking apart H2K. These fights are absolutely one-sided.
H2K tried to force in the mid lane because they saw Expect sitting top lane, but the disengage from Sven's Varus here was perfect, and then H2K could not find the first kill. There's so many tools from G2 to stop them. They are going straight for the Nexus with all 5 members and the Baron buff.
Nuclear, arrow will be up shortly. Jankos, no cast to his name. 5 members strong of G2. They're looking to move us forward to match point. They're looking to take down the remaining members of H2K and Nuclear. You are all on your own. Ace comes in for G2 eSports. Che is up, but it is too little, too late. That's going to be 2-0 moving forward for G2 as they advance to match point.
Very one-sided game. Great draft from G2 that gave them scaling, tanks, a Jarvan versus a low mobility AD carry, and also the chance to actually make aggressive plays. The Varus in the bottom lane with the Braum, great CC setup. The Jarvan in the top lane can always force plays. H2K did not have the same options. That's why we saw them play such a defensive early game. They didn't have a real lane to play around. Couldn't really force plays other than maybe, as I said earlier, in the mid lane. But that would be difficult because that's your only lane then you can actually set up a play. And then they didn't even get a much better late game out of it. Because G2's late game was still strong. And that's where you just see a big difference in the draft.
And we saw small weaknesses from G2. And Mithy got caught out once. Perkz got out 2 or 3 times. But at the end of the day, the top side of the map for G2 is playing so well. And don't get me wrong, Perkz, Sven, Mithy, they're all doing great as well. But the advantages in this game are being built from Trick and being built from Expect. The way these guys are playing together is such a huge improvement over what we saw in the regular season.
And you mentioned just before the game ended how against Splice, G2 were struggling in the early game. They didn't win the early game. Well, the difference was Splice were drafting for the early game. They were playing proactive in the early game. They were especially playing around the top lane with counter matchups against Expect. We're not seeing H2K try the same strategy, so they're not getting the same early leads. And that, again, is a bit of an issue for them, especially in this game too here, and why G2 are not really getting, bullied around.
And it has to be frustrating because both teams came in with confidence. We talked about it. Hey, you come in, you say my prep is good, my team is going to crush today, and then you lose game one. Maybe you're shaken up a little bit. Maybe you think, hey, it's okay, we have another draft, we have another strategy that we can try. But now here in game three, when two things have already failed, this is the last chance to Fischio.
And we know H2K they can change. They can say, Jankos, Elise, that's your pick right now.
But they couldn't because G2 banned it. They're not going to give them that chance in draft.
The first game should have been open. Depending on the side selection, if they go for the same thing, if they can get it. Because if G2 are on red side, if we're looking at Kalista bans, we're looking at a lot of these different AD carry bans, Jarvan ban as well, at least would be open then. It might just ban it now and say, we know this is your idea, you're going to switch to early game, but counter matchup suddenly for Udoamne, Elise pick for Jankos, or an early game jungler, any early game jungler, and then try and play a much faster early game and see if you can actually try and snowball lanes, is an option for a team with Jankos as the jungler and laners like Udoamne and Feb event. They can do it. Question is if they want to in the current meta, because they're very hard to execute these drafts. They rely on very clean execution. If you fall behind against the big tank comps, you just lose the game.
We'll see what they want to adapt. G2 have been working towards this all split, and now they're just one win away from a spot in the finals. We'll see if H2K